when I was a boy, everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twingate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Twingate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Well, good morning. Pacific genocide time in California. Time to come out of your dogma, Snuggies. A lot going on. Posted a video yesterday saying that possible explosion of number 3. And it just proves the dogma. And anybody who tells you, oh, yeah, that it's this, it's a raindrop, it's a light, it's this, they're liars. It just shows you. The American, drunk on ignorance and proud of it. America's an ignorant, especially the echo boomers. Oh, my God, the male echo boomer, that is one dumb human being in the United States. And so the facts of the matter are the Pacific Ocean's dying. The new Dead Sea. But people don't care. How would people care? I mean, yeah, that's cool. Why would people care? Why would they care? People, especially think about the echo boomer, their entire life, sitting around in their basement, playing video games, eating fast food, overweight, no connection with the earth whatsoever. They grew up in a subdivision in a box. Don't go outside, don't do it. Go to their job, sit on a keyboard. Those are the people that are going to tell us what's going on. Sitting around remixing videos, screenshotting, analysis of the analysis, regurgitation. These people have slaughtered YouTube. It is their freaking place. They really think they're doing something. They really think, oh, I'm building me a network. I don't care if you got 1 million views a day. What does it matter? Google's not going to pay you anything. They've robbed everybody blind and gated everybody in. Oh, I got an AdSense cut. What are you going to do with your $342 a month? Wow, woohoo, woohoo. Go to dinner? You're not going to do nothing with it. It's amazing to me how people are so disconnected with the earth. When we see that the Pacific Ocean, mystery goo. It's always a mystery, isn't it? This is, Rachel Carson said it so perfectly. The ocean will go on. It's life itself that's going to die. Now, Europe went through this whole dynamic. Europe killed all the wildlife. Europe slaughtered the freaking wildlife. Build up dwellings right to the edge of the water, into the water in some places. Cut down all the trees, the vegetation, just destroyed it. We're going on the same way. Will humanity go on? I don't know. The Pacific Ocean is not the Mediterranean. The Pacific Ocean is one massive food basket, spiritual being, as we're slaughtering it. So, the Pacific genocide, people want to go in denial about it. People are coming out of denial. Even contemporary media, which to be contemporized right now is to be a giant, giant failure. A really giant failure. I mean, think about it. Would you really want to be popularized right now? You want to be in that club? Do you know how dogmatic, ignorant to be popularized is right now? I mean, how ignorant? This country is so poorly educated. And then when they do find out something, they'll run with it. They'll find out some trinket of third or fourth grade knowledge or something from the past, and they'll incorporate the whole thing into their thesis, and that's all it is, because how did they ever learn? Yeah. I've got my grandson today. He's a little bit sick, so let's get real. The Pacific Ocean and its inhabitants and North America are dying. The bald eagles here are so telling. They migrate from Alaska. Now, there's a study that come out by the EPA. Don't you love this? The EPA says that Utah per square mile is the second most contaminated place. Yeah? Okay. The first being Alaska. Now, you think about that. Those are two big, massive places. And they did it per square mile. For money. Natural resource exploiters, waste dumpers, for money. And people go along with it. You know, you pull up a picture of our Utah Supreme Court. You got these skinny, frail-looking. I mean, these guys must take hours to do their hair. You know, the type of guy who's in high school, beyond goody two-shoes. Never had a lot. Think about the women that marry these guys. And these are the people running the show. These people are so disconnected with any reality. You know, Eric Schmidt in Davos. You love that. Now, let's talk about Eric Schmidt. It's Michael. He comes to Novell, who bought WordPerfect, powerhouses here. Bill Gates stole the entire thing from here. 99% of the market. Invented at BYU by Ashton and Ashton. He comes here. Novell's got $2 billion in freaking cash in the early 90s. That's a massive sum. That was a different era than today. When we got rid of tariffs, we changed all the rules, we gigged it, we globalized the workforce, we allowed slavery, we kept giving a shit. So, I mean, these guys make so much money now, it's grotesque. This guy looted Novell to the last penny. So what is Brand? I mean, you think about those two young kids at Google. I talk about get lucky. And they hire Eric Schmidt? Why? The guy's a disaster. The guy's a failure. The guy's a creep. And oh, do I have stories about him. I have family members that were CFO, connected. I mean, it's amazing to me that the club, people want to call it the Illuminati. I don't call it the Illuminati. You know what I call it? The old world order. It's a neo-feudal system. Something new about it. But it's definitely real. Now, the very poorest go along with it. Operation Fox, Fox News really moved culture, especially here in Utah. Carl Rove did his PhD. I debated Carl Rove when I was young. He debated at Weber State, had a thing, he'll say it. There's plenty of people that know he was running out of Utah. Back when we had a conscience in Utah, that's why he was set up shot in Texas. He could get nowhere here. Yeah. I will when I get done. And so his thesis was we need to get the evangelicals incorporated on the war machine because they say it. Read Scott McClellan's book when they used to sit around the Situation Room and talk about these evangelicals will mass murder anyway. They couldn't even they couldn't find the next state over on a map, let alone the difference between Saudi Arabia and Egypt. And yet they're willing to, bomb. Why to the Republican debates? You're going to see, first it's going to be Romney saying, oh, we need to bomb Russia. Then it's going to be Sarah Palin. Well, we need to bomb Russia, Syria, and back. Isn't that what he said? Becky, because these are people who are geographically illiterate. It's just going to be a warmonger. You're going to get Mark Huckabee. He'll kill them all. And in the name of Christianity. They call themselves Christians. Oh, I'm an evangelical. I'm born again. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're devils in hairspray. Mass murder of freaks. So the big news this week, of course, Obama thinks these elitists, these globalists, think they've backdoored and they think they've nuclear colonialized India. I'm here to tell you, ain't going to happen. Now, all these stories, like he goes over there and says, we broke the impasse for General Electric and Westinghouse. Obama was propped up, found, postured, groomed by Exelon, Westinghouse, and General Electric. He is the nuclear industry. Of course, so is Hillary, Hillary Westinghouse, because it's the greatest cash cow in the world. They run the country. They really run it. The Manhattan Project got opened up and never got shut off. So they're building these cash cows to colonialize the rest of the world. India's a democracy. India wants no part of it. India's been blocking them. They have great activists over there. The women lay their bodies on the railroad tracks. They're awesome. So you love how they caveat on their PR machine. More solar. What liars. And by the way, nuclear has been lost economically. Well, it never was economic. It was a lie. It was a fairy tale from the get. It's not magic. It's uraniumizing. It's not economical. It's not clean. It's not anything. And solar passed it decades ago. You go back to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter had solar panels on the White House. And the whole thesis, that's when these globalist oil companies and these people really got nervous. They saw the writing on the wall. Our gig's up. By the way, King Abdullah's died, the guy, the mastermind of 9/11, one of them that funded all this. Now let's get real. People don't even understand the Ottoman Empire and who these people were and what they're. By the way, I played blackjack with the 9/11 terrorists, for real, in Wendover. Got in a big argument to fight with them. They were stuck out like a sore thumb 2 different times. They used to tell people that story and they say it's crazy. Now we know that they worked their way from San Diego across. Stayed right there. They were there for a while. So oil goes from $12, $14 a barrel, and that happened to $160. Now they're crying. Oh, you know how much money and wealth that family has acquired? By the way, the biggest shareholder of Apple was him. They still got it. Carte blanche. How do they not make money? These so-called American companies, yet the people say, oh, no, free market. I'm like, well, really? Really? I mean, how ignorant are people? Biggest army wins. So get rid of roads, get rid of police. Yet, they talk out of both sides of their face. Oh, these firemen are heroes. No, they're not. Ask a New York City fireman. They don't do anything. They don't work anymore. There's no fires in New York City. And they're not ETMs like here. Oh, they work here in Utah. Oh, boy. They really are a lot of them heroes here because they are ETMs and the calls they have to go on. Ooh. But they make about 1/10 of what they do in New York City. Now, cops here, well, the cops have quadrupled their salary, Homeland Security, and they don't do anything here. Talk about overstaffed. I have friends, cops say, we're so bored out of our minds, we don't even know what to do. He says, I can't believe what they're paying us. They're just throwing money at us, Homeland Security. Because the populace here, America's turned into the greatest country of cowards in human history. I got to keep my gun. Well, really? Who wants to come in your house and steal your Walmart shit? What are you going to do with a gun? I mean, really? You want to kill somebody? You really want to do that? Even if they are stealing your stuff? Really? You want to talk a psychological blow. And these people might get all in their club and get around and act like they're all tough. But when they go out, why do you think all the pill pops is? You're going to destroy your own life if you take another life. Unless you are totally sociopath and have no conscience. And that's a rare. There are not as many of those as you think. This is greed. This is sickening greed. They do it because they can. You feed them. So we talk about these people, the globalist thing, and people in America, especially on YouTube and the internet, they're so behind the curve. They're trying to incorporate 4th and 5th grade knowledge. They're still trying to figure out the problem. Globalists, they're Illuminati. It's always existed. Always. It's just simple, I can't believe even Europe's went with this. Putin, he's thrown down the gauntlet. He's throwing it down. He says, you're not colonializing us. It's the last place. The Queen's got it all. She's got it all back, then some. It's 1914. They have more than they had in 1914. One family, the royal family, ruled the world. They ruled all of Europe, but they have even more now. They have even more. So they're back in Africa. They've got it back. They're slipping their dicks back into freaking India. Gandhi's rolling over in his grave. They think. The Indian population is not going to put up with it. Just like the German population threw them out, the Swiss population threw them out. I like in Italy. The General Electric and Westinghouse tried to move back into there. Look it up. April 2012. They kneecapped them. Get out now. Oh, they got out. So there's a few places that stand up, but still, when was the last time you went and bought some Italian-made suit or some Italian shoes? Or remember, that's what we did. You know, we had tariffs, but we had tariffs. We didn't have tariffs against people that treated labor fairly. I mean, it's a moral issue. Of course, it's an. Have you seen the debt lately? You know, I love it. We don't even talk about this now. It's just more money for more bombs, more bombs. We're building tanks in places like Ohio from 1960 technology. Still building stuff that will never, and they're scrapped. We've got so much military hardware kicking around this country that we don't use. It's outrageous. We're throwing so much money to the nuclear industry, and the Patriot Act, carte blanche, NDAA. That's the Patriot Act gone global. So, surveillance, cover. I mean, it's all because Americans are cowards. America are cowards. The judges are cowards. The law, talk about cowards. How about the attorneys? And then you've got politicians that are just plain corrupt. People don't run for office anymore, for a representative, for the right reasons. They run for office to get rich. Mia Love's a perfect example right here. Mia Love's real name's Adriana Buchanan or something. You know, think about her parents. When they brought her to Haiti in New York City, they left two of the kids behind. They said, we don't. I mean, that's how evil her parents were. Oh, to hell with the other kids. Leave those there. You know, maybe some Americans adopted. There were people trying to tell me she graduated from Harvard. I said, no, Hartford. Hartford's a two-bunk community college in New York City. It's a joke. It's really a joke. It's a performing arts. It's Drama Geeks. The Drama Geeks School. They found her. They created a name, you know. Mia Lowe, I think they were sitting around watching 1970 porn. I mean, it's unbelievable. She's got a book out 2 days after she's elected. 2 days. And mark my words, she will be there for 2 years. She don't want to win again. Lifetime pension, lifetime insurance, and she'll have a show on Fox News. It's false equivalency on Falco. I have a friend who's of Muslim descent, Indian descent, and Muslim faith. You know, he was adopted when he was 8 or 9. And he is, you know, by a Catholic family. He grew up in Utah. He's homeless, by the way. And I says, well, why don't we just set up a gig? You know, you get a radio show here in Utah next to Doug Wright, and you stir up the false equivalency. You're the right color, you're the right everything, you know, you watch Fox News, you can just repurpose it. That's all they do. All they do is sit around and watch Fox News, and they regurgitate it like freaking regurgitating goats. These people are freaking morons. Illiterate. And if the last Republican debate didn't prove to you, think about Bush not knowing the difference between Australia and Austria. Really? For real, he did not. I mean, wow. And there's the average American. So, we go back to Fukushima and the death of the Pacific Ocean. Now you think about the death of the Pacific Ocean. Wow. How dramatic. Now, they killed the Mediterranean? Oh, boy. Now, you know, it's came back somewhat. The death in East Africa, the landscape, the death of, you know, all of Europe. I mean, go to Belgium, the killing fields. You know, very few farms left, very few trees. There's some. Don't get me wrong. There's some, but not much. Think about China, what they did to China. I mean, how many animals are left in China? Not many. You know, trying to do it everywhere. Well, they've done it here in the United States. Now, the Western United States, we got the debate going here in Utah. 65, 70% of all the land here is owned by the feds. They want it back. And now, think about how bad it is. They talk about the lesser of two evils. The lesser of two evils. But think about, if you don't have federally protected land, you got nothing. I mean, you got to understand the fight that went on with Teddy. When he decided, now think about Teddy just saying, boop, Grand Canyon is National Park. I mean, people fought that for decades and decades and decades. I met people in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, that land had been taken under eminent domain 4 times, the same ground, 4 times. All right. It's amazing to me. It's been done for the wrong, and it's been done for the right reasons. We have no logic. These people had their way. They would have a freaking top goal faithful and be letting British Petroleum export it. The United States has no sovereign wealth fund. The United States, when it comes to mineral rights, the mineral rights are owned by the House of Windsor and the House of Hampshire for the most part. Most mineral rights in this country are not owned by people. I mean, there's some people that own some of them. But for the most part, the vast natural resources of this country are owned by the Queen of England. Yeah, this is all Rio Tinto, the biggest open pit mine right here was Kennecott. She's still the major shareholder. Uranium mines all over the world. Why do you think they're so pro-nuclear? Look who owns them. This is a neo-feudal system. Now, it's always existed. Hamilton knew it. I can't believe people can't. Ross Perot called it, and it's not a left or right issue. People somehow think that a tariff's a left issue. Are you kidding? I thought Ross Perot ran as a Republican. He was a pro-tariff guy. It's unbelievable. He would say, look over at those two twins. Look over the Bush-Clinton twins. Look at those two twins over there. Look at them. Look at them. You for either one, you're going to get the same thing. Now, which one's the pro-tariff? Which one's for the working class? Whoosh, whoosh. But in America, the reality, especially echo boomers, I mean, they never grew up in the good America that we grew up in. They don't know any other. They don't know any. They know the usury America. They know the usury economy, which I've named the science fiction economy. The usury economy, they call it the service-based economy. We didn't grow up in that. We grew up in a freaking working class economy. The protected labor, hardcore. The craftsmen. I grew up with some of the greatest craftsmen in the world. They were a very important component. These people don't know any. They know exploitation of brown people from the South, what they know. They know serving each other pizza. They know serving each other coffee. What a waste of human resource. We didn't grow up that way. We know better. We grew up in a healthy, strong America. The tax rate on the 1%, 91%. The greatest middle class in human history from 1945 to 1980, the United States of America. 91% tax rate, 400% tariff. There's a reason people drove GM and freaking Fords. Beautiful designed, incredible vehicles. Magnificent, beautiful things. Look at them. Go look at one. Look at a car now. Technology's evolved, of course. There are some good things that have happened, with safety, airbags. But too many cars? Think about when they pulled that stunt on us. Got rid of all the tank cars. I mean, the trains were so efficient. Right here, I live out in the boonies. This train track goes to California right by my house over the Great Salt Lake. People don't realize there was a train depot right here. They were all over, up and down. People used to live in their communities and they think, they won't be able to travel. They won't be able to fly. Oh, no. Trains were so efficient, so fast, so beautiful, so incredible. You walked out of your house, you walked over, and you went to the train. And that's how you traveled. This whole car thing's insanity. It's gone insanely Cars have ruined California. I'll be riding on the coaster in California. I take the train all over. The train's very efficient. It's very dangerous, by the way. It runs right through those communities, and what's his name, the fitness guy, was shooting it with his GoPro and was killed. And I can see why. It's very dangerous. You need to stand back. They fly through there, right through the center of those communities. Right here. And so, you'll look over, you'll be on the train, there's nobody on the train. And it runs nice, it's beautiful, right up that coast, spectacular views. You look over on the 5, people are lined up for hours. People are addicted to their cars because it's so unbelievable to me. That's how people identify themselves. People talk about each other. No, themselves. They identify, their identity is with what kind of car they drive? Really? It's for real. They identify with, not how much money they make, how much money they think that people think they make. It's a sicko culture. Really sicko. They're disturbed. It's neo-popism got them up. Popism is dead, and I saw who killed it. Now, I'll be in New York City the 27th of February. We'll plan some activism there for a few days. I'll be at Helen Caldecott's symposium on the 28th and 1st. Then maybe to the University of Oregon on the 5th, 6th for that symposium on radiation. I've been asked, Lonnie, and I maybe to be on their committee on the effects of radiation, an afterthought in their climate freaking summit. I mean, it's pathetic. These symposiums are things, sit around, come by, talk to you, charge you to get in. Wow. Really? Why the ocean's dying? It's the emperor has no clothes. We're going to sit around talking, but nobody's doing anything. I mean, you think about it. We know that the Navy has the data. The media, they go along with it because I'll tell you why. Because people are comfortably dumb and numb. You got a lot. I mean, the board of directors, again, tariffs. I can answer all these with tariffs. It's a very simple concept. You funnel businesses tighter and tighter and tighter. The bigger you get, you just gobble up anybody that comes in your way. You think about Apple. They report today, by the way. Watch their number. Blow your eyeballs out. They got slaves, but you think about it. You're a small company, you're whatever. That's why we have antitrust laws. We don't enforce them. You got a beast like that, they'll squash them like a bug. Bill Gates has been doing it for years. He stole everything he had. Remember in 99, the antitrust lawsuits? You remember those? They lost. Should have broke them up. Oh, I want you to go to their last version of their spell check or, their Windows. Type in a capital. I mean, that technology is so pathetic and so horrible and so terrible and so disgusting. It's a joke. No competition. That's what America was based on. America was based on anti-royal fundamental foundation of principles. They didn't believe in inherited wealth. People don't realize that a royal didn't dare set foot on this ground for 200 years. They wouldn't even come here. They would have been hung. For real. That's how bad they were hated. Oh, they were hated. Not only that, people protected. They didn't believe in the East India Company, the Walmart. Locked in Chinese goods, they didn't believe in slavery and usury. It was more than just economics, it was moral. They fought back. They were opposite of everything. They did not believe in inherited wealth. That's one other thing people don't realize. That's changed. There was very little inherited wealth. My great-grandpa is the guy who found the gold at Sutter's Mill. I'll tell you how much money he sacked up. He bought what is now Box Elder County today. He owned the whole thing, the entire county. The UPSP, when they met, the railroad office was in his house. Mormon polygamist? Yep. That's how it was based. My great-great-grandmother from the first. Even they didn't believe in inherited wealth. They gave it all away. They would give it to the church or the community. And by the way, that was the law in the United States. Do you realize what inherited wealth, inheritance tax rate in this country was? 90%. Didn't happen because they didn't believe in the Illuminati, as you call it, the old world, the feudal system. They were against it. They knew what it turned into. It turned into 1914 in your head. It turned into 1774 in your head. That's exactly, they're back. We are a neo-feudal system, not going to happen in a fascist state, which it was then, pay the dragon slayer. They did the same thing. They would send somebody, they would go into a community, pay somebody up like a local police chief is today, create fear in their populace, make up stuff like ISIS, just like they did. I mean, this is an old playbook. Real simple. Hey, there's dragons out there. Send a guy out in the woods, he'd come back all cut up and straight up. Oh, yeah, I've been fighting. Here, give up your gold, give up your animals, give up your wealth, and they do it, willing to do it. We do the same thing here in the United States. We do the exact same thing here in the United States. Do you realize what kind of percentage of your paycheck and your tax is going to build bonds that we will never use? We've made enough, by the way, illegal against international law. Gorbachev and Reagan signed it. Megan Rice spoke into Y-12 to protest the violation of those treaties. The United States is breaking international law grotesquely at Y-12, at a Y-25. She broke in. To think about just the protection of Y-12, that lie. I loved how she said on the stand. She says right there, "Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you to the prosecutor. Thank you so much. Thank you for holding an 84-year-old nun in a detention facility that's set up to hold for 3 weeks for a year and a half. Thank you for charging me as a terrorist, an 84-year-old nun. Thank you for holding me there and almost killing me in 55-degree thing. Thank you. I really thank you so much. So when I get out, I have something else to protest. The industrialized prison complex." Now you think about this. Twofold. There's two iconic events going on in America. Two very big ones that no media will cover. The American populace doesn't care. These, echo boomers, these sit in their basement, these freaking dogmatic morons who, by the way, people say, "Oh, that wasn't avoid this." I said, tell that to your oncologist. So many the so-called babies, they're going to die so young. Their hearts are going to blow up. Their aneurysms. The longevity rate in this country for the first time in the history of this country, the first time ever, how long you lived, did you know it started headed the other way? The number one kill rate, I got in an argument with a guy the other day about, oh, no, it's not cancer. Yes, it is. Number one in children, number one in women, number one in adults now. I passed it. Oh, I don't see the data. What, Fox News didn't tell you? CNN? Oh, by the way, they did tell you. You're just picking and choosing because you've eaten so much dogma burgers and you drink so much Kool-Aid. So two major events going on in this country that historically will be looked back to, oh my God. Megan Rice, a nun, the daughter of Madeleine Rice, the professor at Columbia, the great human rights activist, the daughter of Dr. Rice, the professor at NYU, the protege of Dorothy Day, grew up side by side, hand in hand, same age as Martin Luther King, the great activist, a nun, the greatest human rights activist in the world, goes to Y-12, Tennessee. The Manhattan Project is still going crazy. They're amok. Illegally, against international law, the most dangerous place on earth that we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to protect. In the middle of the day with bolt cutters with her and Greg and Michael from the Dorothy Day House in Washington, D.C., which, by the way, I went to the Dorothy Day House. I think it's an incredible metaphor that I walked over. Put that back. Yes. You don't want to break that. And so think about that. So the Million Mass March, the inauguration, I led that march down there. John Anthony and I, Steve Grant, we cooked it up and we did it. I walked over to the Dorothy Day House. I went to church with the Dorothy Day, Washington, D.C. That's where Greg and Michael came out of. They're powerful, by the way. They're amazing, brilliant people. They're peace activists. So she breaks in the middle of the day with bolt cutters, the most dangerous place on the face of the earth. More plutonium there than anybody on earth, which Gorbachev and Reagan signed. Not only do we quit making it, we get rid of them. By law, but international law, Cheney proved that to us. Abu Ghraib. Oh, they just disappeared. All that videotape just disappeared. The Geneva Conventions, all that. Our parents would be rolling over in their graves. So she breaks in the middle of the day, thinking they might be shot. I mean, this was the holy grail of plowshares. They're peace activists. They're in there for hours and hours and hours. Hours. First guy in the stand in the Senate scene while I was there was the security guard. Should have seen that babbling buffoon up there. Really? It's just extortion of the American taxpayer. Pay the Dragon Slayer. She's held in a detention facility as a terrorist, refused bail, under the Patriot Act, under due process, charged terrorists, which they do that to anybody and everybody. They have backdoored the United States Constitution. Now, the United States is a republic with a constitution. You get rid of the Constitution, you have a fascist military state that anything can go on. Whatever powers there be are there, they can do whatever they want. The Patriot Act took care of that. No one even read it. By the way, it's an illegal act. It takes, 2/3 of both houses to amend the United States Constitution? It's the ultimate amendment to the United States Constitution, which the Constitution has been amended. There's 27 amendments, but the first 10 happened in one swipe of the pen. Now, the first 10, let's go back, let's talk about the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. I take the 5th, 7th, 8th. They're all due process for people just like this, Megan Rice. It's against the law. I mean, an 84-year-old nun, the protege of the greatest human rights activist on earth. She was not allowed due process. I mean, you think about that. She was held in a federal holding facility in Georgia that's set up to hold people for 3-4 weeks maximum, or a year and a half, at 55 degrees. They keep down the temperature because they say they have infections going on in there. It almost killed her. It came very close to killing her. She's a tough lady, amazing woman. I've been to the jail cell in Brooklyn on Atlantic. We didn't know where she was for a long time. So I go to the hearing, the sentencing. Pete Seeger died that day, by the way. I'm the only media there. There's some local media. I don't know where it's at. And so I'll find it. So yeah, I'll find it. So it's amazing to me. It should have been. I thought it would be. So did she. We thought that it would be a massive, massive story, and it wasn't. Americans don't care. And media did report, leading up to it. Americans just don't care because they're in their freaking little box, their subdivision, their Orwellian, freaking brown, fake stucco, fake rock, never been connected to the earth. What's a bird? They could be looking right across the street, don't even know a bird, an animal, a fish, whatever. They're completely tranquilized, completely hypnotized by the computer, by the television, by their food chain. They're gone. It's like the mystery goo in San Francisco Harbor. I figured out what the mystery goo is. The mystery goo across that's killed the eagles, the mystery goo that's killed the freaking fish, that's killed the dolphins, that kills the sea lions, that's killed the birds, all of it. That's killing the Pacific Ocean, that's killing freaking life itself. The cancer, the mystery goo is what's left between America's ears. That's what their brain is. That's what their body is. Look at it. Take a look. I had a girl that I dated for a long time. My bloodlines are Danish. She was a professor. Beautiful, beautiful girl, right from Copenhagen, Rachel. Her and I together for a long time. Incredible. Spoke 5 languages. Beautiful. Everything. When I was teaching, her and I teaching together, she says, Kevin, I can't handle it here anymore. This place is creeping me out. So her mother came over for a stay. She was going to travel and spend the summer, 3-4 months in the United States. She called her and I said, take her to a Walmart. She did. She did. She was here for 3 weeks. It freaked her out so hard, so hardcore. It scared her. You get these big fat slobs with tattoos all over the body and things. These beasts that are, she'd have conversations with people and such incredible illiteracy, such amazing. She cut her store home and she says it traumatized her so hardcore. Now, we have lots of Europeans that come here and travel right now, and they'll go to San Francisco because it's a cultural theme park because the dollar was so weak. The dollar, by the way, what a rally. You think we have a lot of baby boomers here. So they come to New York, they come to San Francisco, they go to the national parks in Utah, but they don't see the real America. They see somewhat of it. Old ladies with tattoos on their face, tattoos on their neck. You'll see people walking around just really obese, and the most obese part of their body, they'll tattoo it. And then they'll wear, even in the wintertime, to make sure it's exposed, like, look at me. Like, that's some kind of, some kind of branding. I've still not figured it out. I cannot psychologically. The average American on 5 prescription pills? Really? They have transformed humans into something that is not human. They're not very human to me. They're surely not the humans I grew up with. You go back and look at footage and film and art or media. Just go look at print media from the 60s and the 50s. Look how beautiful people were. You think about it in the 60s. Think about the females. Raquel Welch, that San Diego La Jolla girl. By the way, I saw her at freaking Del Mar this year. Wow. It's amazing at her age. There's still some beautiful people that, Bridget Bardot, Elkie Summer, all of them. You go down the list. Think about people. Our community, I grew up in Ogden, Utah. I think back, people were so incredibly beautiful. They were happy. They were working 40 hours a week. They didn't want to be rich. They didn't follow, look, Johnny, you're going to play in the NBA. Look what they've done to the African-American community in the urban setting. Look what they've done. Oh, Johnny, you go all in. You practice hard. They all think they're going to play in the NFL. And no, they're not. None of them are. It's a 1 in a million shot. Just line up at the border for the lottery. By the way, people didn't think that way. They're like, we don't want to be rich. Why would I want to be rich? I want to have a strong, healthy job that I work 40 hours a week, and I want to be tied with my environment and my family and my community because they knew what real joy was. Joy is being on picnics with your family, with your friends. They were communal, hanging at the park, playing Frisbee, drinking kegs, doing whatever with the kids. They were communal people. They really were interacting among. They didn't need some great big ugly house to show the neighbors. They lived in 1,100-foot square houses, raised 4 or 5 kids, worked 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week, full medical and benefits. The government didn't have to get involved in medical and because labor had power. So labor had power. So when labor had power, they weren't going to give you full medical, dental, freaking for your whole family. You walk down the street to the next guy. America was healthy then. Yeah, it had issues, and the nuclear thesis was evolving, but they didn't know. The American public didn't know, and even the apparatus there be, they kind of knew, and there was some evil shit that went on. nuking my father, human guinea pig in him, there was still the evil, evil underlying freaking sickos. Teller, by the way, and Lawrence are Satan. Those were Satan. Both of them. The devil themselves. They really were. No, it can't be moved because it's too heavy. You quit making a mess. So they, as Livermore was evolving the nuclear cartel, you know, we let these sickos, these control freaks, we let them go nuts. Schizophrenic, mentally ill freaks. You know, I at the Senate Opry hearing, we're down there. And one of the sons of one of the Manhattan Project scientists, brilliant genius, about my age, gets up and goes on a tirade. And he goes off on Livermore. He goes off on Teller, just like me. Sounded like me. He says these people were schizophrenic, afraid of their own shadow, paranoid, mentally ill freaks, hardcore freaks. And he went on a tirade. He says they've looted the California taxpayer for $53 billion. You know, he got it. I get it. We allow those people, but that's what America's turned into because America is cowards. They're afraid of their own shadow. Working too much? I guess, you know, why don't they stand up for themselves? Our parents wouldn't have put up with it. It says, hey, you need to go to work, you know, no time and a half, no freaking double time, no freaking insurance, no nothing. Our parents would have said, fuck you. No, we refuse to work. I don't care if I'm homeless. They would have stood up. Not this generation. Oh, you know, we're all going to serve coffee to each other. $10 an hour. Really? Shit, I remember in 1976 I started plastering at $12.80 an hour. And by the way, I want to discuss this before I forget about oil. Did you know gasoline is the cheapest in the history of the country right now? You wait it back to the 1960s. Everybody says, oh, 1965 I was paying 25 cents a gallon. Wait it to the $1965. It waits to 12 cents a gallon. 12 cents. So, Car America, you know, every time they get close to coming back with technologies that exist for 100 years, this is the game they pull. You know, these markets are so grotesquely manipulated, King Abdullah, so grotesquely manipulated. And that's the game they play. So everybody's going to go back to, you know, gasoline, oil. They're going to move away. They pulled it in 1980. They knew the solar completely take. It's like people say, oh, we don't have the technology. You know, half the world already went. And if Japan doesn't prove it to you, we were told as anti-nuclear activists, you can't pull the plug in Japan. You can't. 70-something% of all the power and energy in Japan is all nuclear. 70-something%. That's what we were told over and over and over and over. All those reactors have been offline the entire time. 4 years. Going on 4 years they've been offline. Not one single rolling blackout. That's impossible. No, it's not. You know how efficient technology has moved in the last 20 years? Okay, for instance, you're on a business. Your furnace. Your air conditioner. Do you know they use like 3% of what they even used 20 years ago. Consumption of energy is so far down in this country from what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago by efficiency, technology. Solar is everywhere. It is everywhere. Solar went crazy. Solar farms, oh, we need to build. They're already there. You know, California, all of it's solar. It's solar everywhere you look. It's an easy, cheap, little technology. Solar panel up there, boom, bang, bang. It's free. You know, now they're trying to incorporate and change the laws to where you can't disconnect from the meter, which they've got. They're crooks. So we don't use it. Nuclear was a failure. But here's the problem. They need to all be, the plug could be pulled on every nuclear plant in the world. Wouldn't affect this world one iota for 90% of the world. It wouldn't affect it as far as the power grid goes. They lost the field 20 years ago. They're just holding on to a tired old worn out. I mean, it's like Bethlehem Steel. You know, they're going to stay in the Dow and go down with it till they're freaking fall apart. These people are going to hold on to their wealth and their power, and we're going to allow them. But now we've incorporated it into bombs and the nuclear waste that is everywhere. You know, secretly, if WHIP doesn't prove to you that, in New Mexico. They've got to store it. There's no answer for the waste. Oh, well, they've got it. No, they don't have it. They do not have it, and they will never have it. And it's been proven. The head of the Livermore Technology Lab resigned. What's that? So there's no answer for the waste. Second poll, Megan Rice. The other major event is the USS Reagan, troops versus TEPCO in San Diego. Now I was in the hospital with one of those young men, dying of leukemia, fighting for his life. They were sent in the first days of Fukushima. They got bombarded, hammered, annihilated. And let's get real. The Navy knew. The Situation Room knew. Holder knew. They all knew. They even guinea pigged their own people. Not just the sailors. There was 8 ships sent in, by the way. Tens of thousands of personnel on those ships. But let's talk about the 800,000 military personnel that's on Japan. Japan is a colony of the United States. Look up the treaties. That's the only thing Obama really did say that was true. He says, these treaties were signed long before I was born. World War II after. When we divided up. We took Japan. Occupied? We've still occupied. Remember, we tried to turn it into our obey consumption, and the Nikkei peaked in 1986 as well. Oh, the Japanese stock market's going to collapse. It collapsed in 1986. It peaked at 35,000 in 1986. Do the math. The obey, consume economy. Now think about it. It's a small place. They don't have many natural resources to extort. That's what economies are, extorting natural resources. That's this obey consumption. So they have to create the resource. Nuclear. Plutonium. Man-made resource that they freaking fight over and becomes wealth to sell to the United States taxpayer to make bombs. And the United States taxpayers go along with it. So they destroyed freaking Japan. They destroyed it. And so it's all about bombs. So 800,000 military personnel, they know what they did. I can prove it. And it will be proven in those trials. And Janice knows. Janice took her time reading through that, and I'm sure she was aghast. She's read everything. She knows everything I know. And she went, oh, my, oh. And she opened it to General Electric. They're suing General Electric now. And trust me, I've been dealing with the attorneys. The heavy hitters are lining up. And this is going to be bigger than Philip Morris ever dreamed of being. This will be the biggest lawsuit in American history by 10 times, by 100 times, by 1,000 times. Now, think about it. And then the litigation is going to flow forward on killing the Pacific Ocean. What's that number? Because the United States thinks that they can monetarily just write a check for anything. They're running out of money, $18 trillion. So really, what is the monetary value of the death of the Pacific Ocean's inhabitants? The ocean is, Rachel Carr's ocean ain't going away. Life is, which so much life in the Pacific Ocean already has. Talk to any fishermen out there on there, they'll tell you. I talk to all of them. The commercial fishermen that are out there, they'll tell you. It's a disaster out there. It's a freaking cesspool. It is a hideous. Anybody that's feeding children fish, I'll tell you, you go fish, but you're out of your mind. Anybody who's eating anything, sushi, anybody who's serving sushi. By the way, that in Huntington Beach, that restaurateur who pulled the plug 2 years ago and says, I refuse. I will not serve sushi anymore. I heard that his vegetarian sushi, he's doing better than he was now. But, I talked to that guy. Well, Joe talked to him, third party I talked, my friend Joe down there. And so it's amazing that you're still eating sushi, so you're out of your mind. And this is before Fukushima happened. The CDC says the most contaminated food sources are out of the ocean. It's a cesspool. It is a cesspool. You could smell it down there. You can walk, you can taste it on your tongue. It's disgusting. The dead sea lions, the dead starfish, just rolling up the dead squid. It's unbelievable. Red tide. This is a whole new red tide. This is red tide on Balco. So people at Fukushima are sitting there saying, oh, Kevin, you reported this as a fire. No, it's not. I know what it is. It's lights. Oh, it's a rain. No, you don't know shit. You don't know anything. You're a liar. You're a bunch of freaking dogma burger eating liars. I don't know what it is. But I know for a fact there was 3 triple meltdowns down there. I know for a fact it's not under control. And I know enough about science to know that nuclear fission is taking place for the first time in human history, and we don't know the freaking components of nuclear fission. We don't know the gamma rays. We don't know the synergistic effects, which I call plutonium, which is very real. People don't even understand plutonium. They think, what, plutonium's natural? No, I don't think so. Plutonium, as I named it, that's what it is. You know, the synergistic effects that are going on inside the Pacific Ocean with the toxin over-fertilization into the ocean, with the cruise line dumping waste, with the antibiotics that people eat all over, with everything else. You think about the whole synergy. What are they compounding together and creating? Who knows? No one knows. No, the greatest scientists on Earth don't know. No one knows. And so when people say, oh, no, Kevin, there's no... And think about this. The invisible fires. Now, right here in Utah, uranium. There's some uranium underground fires in Utah. They've been on fire for 70 years. You think all fire you can see? This is how ignorant people are. Oh, I can't see it, so it doesn't happen. The hottest and the hottest of the fires, you can't see them. You know, you can't see them. They're invisible. That's exactly what's going on over there. You could see it. It's like in the early days when people were dropping the bombs and they were experimenting with Trinity and they were experimenting, you know, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki and different things. Photographers would take pictures and they would go back to their, you know, lighthouses, their development rooms, and they were like, what is this? The radiation was showing up on their film. You couldn't see it in the evidence, but it surely was. Same thing's happening right now. There, you know, multiple photographers are starting to report out of California that we're seeing this crazy-looking plankton, weird haze, which is very real. I've seen it with my own eyes. You know, when we're catching in our cameras, we're catching, when I shoot videos, you know, we shot that green flash, by the way, at the green flash. You think about that. I caught a green flash on film standing right in front of the old green flash on PB. Huh. Well, I will in a minute. And so it's amazing. The sky, people are going to their, you know, dark rooms. There's old schoolers out there. I mean, it's a renaissance in that genre. They're some of the best photographers in the world. And they're calling me, and they're saying, Kevin, we're not ever seeing, we used to see it showing up last year, 2 years ago, in the sky. Now we're starting to see it on the water. We're starting to see it in the trees and on the plants in our when we're developing our film now. That's some creepy stuff. Who knows what's going on? So when you hear these dogma, and by the way, these idiots think that, oh, well, I'm going to live to be 100. They got cures for cancer. People are really that stupid. I see it in the hospital. No, don't leave that alone. I'm in the hospital. I see it. There's a guy in the hospital with me. I'm head of the support group. Was. They don't like people like me. The administrators, the doctors love me, by the way. My doctors love me. My nurses love me. The people that really know, they know. They like fighters. All right. So they don't like people that fight back. I'm in there with a guy that worked at one of the nuclear facilities, and I've got to finish up. And he's dying of leukemia, and he works at a nuclear facility in Chicago. You know, and he's like, no. I'm like, here's the government stats that say if you work in a nuclear reactor, you have a 16 times higher chance of dying of AML leukemia. That's the government data. It's right there. You did? Well, leave it there, and Grandpa will get it down in a minute. And then, you know, he wants to argue right then. Oh, no, you know, it's God's will. God's going to... Tim Shell, God help those who help. And these people just lay down and die. And they die. And I'm here to tell you. And they don't think they're going to. The arrogance is so incredible when you get cancer. I mean, I was in incredible physical condition. You know, I don't know how I didn't die. I mean, it's a brutal. I don't know that I could go through it again. And I'm a tough dude. I'm really tough. The walk that I've went 3 years and what I've went through, I think about it. If the cancer came back on me, I don't know if I could go through that again. I really don't know. It's that brutal. It's that hardcore. It's that painful. It's that, whoa. And people come in there, and I'm like, you got AML? You got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? Get ready. It's time to get the boxing gloves on, you know, take the gloves off. Let's get nasty, you know, and let's fight. They really think, oh, no, God's will, I'm going to survive. And they don't. And it looks like this. So they're training you. You're doing good. You're going to, you know, the nurses, rightfully so. They have to keep you encouraged. How do you keep into fighting? You can't just say, as soon as you give up, it's over. They know that, so they do the right things. So but people are saying, oh, and then you're fighting, and all of a sudden the doctor just walks in and says, sorry, we've done everything. We're sending you home with hospice. You know, I've seen it. I've sat with them when they have the conversations. And these people are like, their dogma is so strong, they're like, no. Well, this can't be. What do you mean it can't be? They're still, no, there's got to be things. And then they'll go home, they'll have their wife getting on the internet, they'll start drinking a pill or eating anything, and why they're dying, and next thing you know, they're slipping into a coma, and then within the 10 days, they're dead. That's the way it works. People don't understand that. They don't understand. People don't want to accept the reality they're going to die. Now, you're all going to die, every single one of you. And you're going to die much quicker than you think. Number one, nobody eats right. Number one, nobody walks. Nobody's connected with the environment. And by the way, being connected with the environment, Gandhi had it right. And think about how he went. He was living very freaking long time. He says, the joy is not the accomplishment, and it's the fight. That's life. You think about some of these activists. I mean, they live strong, healthy, long lives because they're out in the environment. As I say, just like this, I fight for her, she fights for me. It's that simple. I fight for the Pacific Ocean, she fights for me. These are living spiritual beings. All creatures on it. And think about what we've destroyed, these incredible creatures in California. How about the sea turtles? They can't even come on the coast to lay their eggs anymore. There are literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of dogma-eating, burger-eating, Kool-Aid-eating weirdos out there walking their dogs on the beach every single evening. You want to see any wildlife on the beach, you got to go early in the morning because these weirdos are there all evening, all afternoon, all night with their dogs. Now you think about it. Dogs were never meant to be put on a leash. Dogs were never meant to live in a house or a subdivision or thing, and that's what we've done to the dog. We've destroyed that freaking creature, overbred it to where they sit in their, scared of their own shadow, kind of like people. People say, "Oh, you're border collie, Kevin. It must have been beaten. It must have been." And a lot of people say that about border collies. I'm like, no, they're overbred because everybody wants. Oh, we want a pure breed, so they've destroyed them. And they got them on their leash. And I got news for you. Fifi and Fufu, oh, they're my best friend, our best friends, man's best friend. You're down in California water. You stop feeding Fifi and Fufu for 3 days. Just stop feeding them. Don't give them their water. Don't give them their food. Let them go outside. And let somebody down the road feed them. They're their new best friend. They're dogs. And they're destroyed. And they're not meant to be on the beach on a leash with a little cutesy sweater. Disgusting is actually what it is. I mean, it's the American dogma arrogance. They think because they have no communication skills. It's like all the, cop murders that's going on. The communication skills in this country are grotesque. Both sides? Absolutely both sides. But cops, when they were called police, were taught how to de-escalate situations because you always have those type of people. People that are kind of loud, kind of aggressive, whatever, good. We need people like that. It's important to raise your voice. But cops don't know how to communicate and calm people down and, talk to them in their front. They don't know how to do it. And the other side doesn't know how to do it either. And so everybody's got a gun. And so we have these violent encounters. Those are lethal weapons. And I can't believe everybody has one in their house. Why? What are you doing with that thing? I don't understand. I don't understand. What do you got it for? What are you afraid of? There's plenty of cops everywhere. You got a problem, you call the police. The perfect example is here in Utah. I wrote in my book, I used to say in my lecture all the time, you can't drink and drive in the United States because it's immoral and you're going to kill somebody on the road because you're going to get drunk and you're going to go to the wrong house because these subdivisions all look identical to each other and you're going to go to the wrong door and, because you got the same rock, same brown stucco, same wife, same car, same everything. It's so homogeneous, Orwell wouldn't believe it. You're going to go to the door and somebody's going to be in there and you're going to try to open the door, keep walking, and they're going to shoot you. It happened. It's happened 3 times here in the last 2 years. And they knew each other. He was just at the wrong block on the wrong corner on a Sunday night, been watching football, had the cab drop him off in the corner so his wife wouldn't know. So he sneaks in, but it looks exactly. He's third house down on the right. But he's third house down on the right, just 1 block over. You can't tell. It looks exactly the same. So the key won't work. He keeps going with the key. He goes around to the back slider. He's trying to open the slider. He can't get in. It's his house. He thinks it's his house. Instead of the guy, he's got a wife and kids, he's got his gun. Instead of calling 911, he just, boom, shoots through the window, goes around the next day. There he is laid inside the house. It's his friend. It's his friend. Now think about the destroy of those families. How about the guy that shot him? And if you don't believe me, talk to a vet. Talk to a Korean War vet. 2 fifths of whiskey a day for a reason.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twin Gate.